Welcome everyone. This is the League of Women Voters of Greater Tucson Forum for the City of Tucson Mayor's Race. And remember to vote on November 5th. My name is Vivian Hart. I am the president of the League of Women Voters of Greater Tucson. The League of Women Voters was formed in 1920, which means next year is our 100th anniversary. Our mission is to facilitate voter participation through education, voter registration, and encouraging sound voting policies and procedures. We are a nonpartisan organization. That means we do not endorse or oppose any candidate or any political party. And when we do take positions on issues, it's after we study the issues and then we come upon a concurrence and agreement with our members. To assure that we remain unbiased, our moderators are selected who cannot participate in the election. Our moderator tonight lives outside of the city of Tucson, so she cannot vote in this election, and she does not know any of the candidates. Besides the League of Women Voters of Greater Tucson, we are honored to have the YWCA Southern Arizona and the Tucson Young Professionals as our co-sponsors of this event. And we want to thank the YWCA for this wonderful facility we're in. I'd like to introduce you to our moderator, Dee Maitland.
Hello. I'm going to assume that you're all here to become informed and conscientious voters and will be casting a responsible and well thought out vote in November. My job as moderator is to facilitate an open, civil, respectful, interesting, and informative exchange of information. Each of our candidates has signed an agreement to that end, and I hope you will also agree to this. Now let's cover a couple ground rules and housekeeping. As always, turn off your cell phones and any electronic equipment that beep, buzzes, sings, or performs musical interludes. Bathrooms are out the door, to the left and straight ahead. You can't miss them. Feel free to quietly leave and return during the forum. The forum is streaming on the League of Women Voters Greater Tucson Facebook page and will be available at lwvgt.org after the event. Federal Communication Commission rules prohibit the recording of this event in any way by anyone but the League. You've been warned. This is a political forum. It is not a political rally. Please, no applause or interrupting comments because it becomes too time-consuming and disruptive as we only have 1 hour for this section. I will ask for a rousing round of applause at the end. All campaign materials will be situated outside our meeting room. Please stop and pick up some materials on your way out. And the candidates have agreed to remain after the forum for your additional questions. If you need more cards, signal the floor walkers. I know that, I hope we got more out there, and they will come and pick up the card, raise it high. Please print so we can read them. Thank you. Okay, now to explain how the forum will be conducted. As background, the mayoral candidates were all invited and they are all here. The forum is, we will be covering it for an hour. And first, I will be introducing you to the 3 candidates. And the candidates will be first give their 2-minute introductions in the order that they were put on the ballot. Then after that, when I ask the questions, I will reverse orders so that each candidate gets to answer, be the first to answer or the last to answer the question. They'll be given 2 minutes for the opening statement and 1 minute for a closing statement. And the most important people in the room tonight are Shirley Mooney and Kathy Arrows. They're our timekeepers. We stay on schedule and they save us. When the candidates, when they hold up the 15-second left sign, be sure to wrap up the sentence you started, because when they put stop, I really ask you to stop, or we'll be here all night. After the opening statements, we will have question and answers. I will ask the first 3 questions. 2 are prepared by the League, and 1 is submitted by the Metropolitan Education Commission. Then we will take questions from you. As I told you, on your seats are your cards. Print very carefully, raise the card, and they will be picked up. If you need more cards, just signal on the floor monitor, we'll bring you more cards. All right, we will begin with the 2-minute introductions by each of our candidates. They're Regina Romero, she's the Democrat running for mayor. Michael Cease, he's the Green Party running for mayor, and Ed Ackley, who's running as an independent. Regina, we will begin with you.
So thank you so much to the League of Women Voters, to the Tucson Young Professionals and the YWCA for hosting us tonight, and most especially you for being engaged residents and really wanting to hear from the candidates. My name is Regina Romero, and I'm the Democratic nominee running for mayor of the city of Tucson. I'm running for mayor because I believe in a clean, safe, that we all deserve a clean, safe, just, sustainable city with economic opportunity for all. I have been serving you on the Tucson City Council for the past 12 years. And my vision to move Tucson to the next level of progress and prosperity includes many, many plans, but my platform, what I've been talking about, is to make sure that we diversify our economic development strategy in the city of Tucson, including creating a small business incentive program, making sure that we help our startup companies and invest in innovation. Also, to improve the quality of life, making sure that we're investing in police and fire, investing in our parks, in our roads, in our transit system, and immediately and boldly create a climate action plan, because without a livable community, all of the goals and aspirations that we have cannot be completed. I am the only candidate that's running for mayor that has the experience and the vision to start the job from day one, and that vision includes every single Tucsonan, so that we can get to a level of progress and prosperity for everyone.
Thank you, and I apologize, I said your name wrong. It's Regina, correct? Thank you.
Either way, I feel comfortable in that.
Okay. Mr. Cease?
Hi, I'm Mike Cease, Green Party candidate for mayor. I'm the only mayoral candidate who supports Sanctuary City. The first priority of the mayor's office is to protect the safety of all Tucson families. I've lived in Tucson for nearly 40 years. This is the best quality of life and public safety measure that I've seen come along. Sanctuary City will protect Tucson families in hospitals, churches, courthouses, and schools. When the horrendous atrocity committed by white nationalists occurred in El Paso, many of the injured victims were afraid to go to the hospital for fear of collaboration. This is a moral issue. Sanctuary is a human right. It's hurtful to the community when I read and hear multiple misrepresentations about Sanctuary City. I'm here to defend Sanctuary and to defeat hate. The real Green New Deal is coming to Tucson. Our community faces twofold crises at the same time, twofold challenge. There's an economic crisis and there's a climate crisis. Studies show that we rank as one of the top 10 most economically distressed communities in the country, in the nation. We are here, I am here, my campaign is here. We are here to bring system change to fight climate change with a massive citywide mobilization. We're not here for small incremental changes. Hundreds of thousands of homes and businesses will be retrofitted with energy conservation, solar and water harvesting, and union employment for thousands of people. Thank you.
Thank you. I hope nobody's recording. Please remember that this is being live streamed and should not be recorded or photographed. Thank you. All right, Ed, you're on next.
Thank you. Growing up in Tucson, we had plenty of police and fire, we had good roads, and we had safe and clean parks. Currently, Tucson is facing some issues. We have potholes and roads in disrepair. Some police calls to 911 go unanswered. Firefighters work long shifts working with the mentally ill and dealing with drug abuse. And many parks are not safe enough for people to go and to enjoy. While climate change and immigration and environment are important to all of us, the city charter specifically states that the mayor and council should work on public safety, police and fire, transportation, roads, and provide parks and lifestyle. I grew up in Tucson and went to Palo Verde High School. I went on to the University of Arizona and got a degree in radio and television, and then on to Northern Arizona University and got a doctorate. My family has owned and operated a company for 51 years in Tucson. I've been at the company for 45 of those years. I went on to be the chairman of the American Advertising Federation, and I do have the experience to lead large organizations, and I'm ready to go day one. I've assisted hundreds of companies in Tucson and nonprofits over the years with marketing and fundraising and leadership. And my brother and I own Ackerley Advertising, and we continue to this day to help many companies. As a lifelong Tucsonan, I know that our town can be safe, that our roads can be good, and that our families can enjoy the parks. Accomplishing these tasks, though, will take some effort, and all of us need to jump in together to do this. So tonight I'm going to be answering some questions for you, and I'm going to be coming back to the same issues: police and fire, roads, and parks, which is what our charter tells us that the mayor and council should be doing. If we don't do this, we'll miss an opportunity for the future.
Thank you, Ed. Now we will move on to the questions, and we'll go in reverse order. So Ed, be prepared for the first answer on this question. And the first question is, what ideas do you have for balancing economic development with sustaining the old Pueblo culture and environment?
Tucson is a wonderful place to live. It has such a wonderful, diverse population of different people and different cultures. The focus that we have to be looking at is, what kind of a town do we want? And we have to provide a safe town, a passable town with people being able to get from one side to the other, and we have to provide parks and lifestyle for them. These are the three core issues that are important to all Tucsonans and all people who live in our area. We have to get these things right first. In terms of what we do as council, we have to make sure that we are focusing on the priorities that are mandated for us in the charter and the city charter. And public safety is one of those huge things that we need to address. We have 763 commissioned police officers. That's a problem. We used to have 1,200 just a few short years ago. We have to address these problems in order for our culture and our environment and the city in which we live to be a meaningful place for all of us to live. As I said, I'm going to keep coming back to these same issues because these are the issues that are mandated to us to take care of as city council. And for the last several years, we have taken our eye off the ball on these issues, and these things have become a problem for the city.
Thank you. And I don't think I told the timekeepers that we have a minute and a half for the answers on each of these. Good. I wanted to make sure I covered that. Okay. Now we will move on to question number 2. Oh, just fire me. Mike, you're next. Do you need me to reread the question?
Yes, I'd like to ask that for both myself and the audience.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What ideas do you have for balancing economic development with sustaining the old Pueblo culture and environment?
Well, thank you for the question. Economic development is something that in my administration we're going to approach in an out-of-the-box manner. We are going to change the paradigm, which I've lived in this community for many decades. Paradigm has always been to, with economic development, has been to invest taxpayer resources in providing subsidies for outside corporations to come into Tucson. This is going to change here under my administration. We're going to invest in our community first, in our local businesses. The question is always asked about the Green New Deal, how are we going to pay for this? I think that question needs to be reframed as, how can we afford not to invest in our future? We have an economic crisis, and we have a climate crisis. And so that's going to be the economic development paradigm under my administration, and it's going to change. Thank you.
Regina.
Right. Whatever, I feel
Rahina.
comfortable. I'm bilingual and bicultural. I
You
feel
should
fine
not be
with Rahina or
bilingual.
Regina. Whatever makes you feel happy. I think that we have to diversify our economic development strategy in the city of Tucson. I have been working on economic development issues in the city because when I first started, we were in the worst economic recession since the Great Depression. And we had to move fast. I led on creating an economic recovery plan for Tucson's future that includes, to this day, 21 different tools that we use. But what I'd like to make sure that we focus on in the future is that we invest in small, locally owned businesses and startups, that we use our climate action plan not just as a good thing for our environment and to create resiliency in our city, but also to create green jobs. It is an economic development opportunity that we have, and we have to make sure that we invest in it and that we prepare ourselves with the jobs of the future, making sure that the uniqueness and beauty and the nature of our city and our culture is well protected, but that we are moving to the next level of progress and prosperity as a community, creating the jobs of the future.
Thank you so much. We'll move on to question number 2. And this one comes from the Metropolitan Education Commission. And we'll do the order of Mike, and then Rahina, and then Ed. The question is, in order to attract new companies and jobs to Tucson, we need both a talented workforce and a strong education system. Please talk about new ways that the city of Tucson can partner with local educators and organizations to support and improve the educational and workforce pipeline of the city. Mike?
As most of you know, the City of Tucson jurisdiction does not directly fund school districts. That being said, there are a number of important things that the mayor's office can and will do to support education. I supported what was known as the Strong Start initiative, and we will bring that back under my administration. That is an important step in investing in pre-K. That's children are our future after all. And we will invest in that. That's one thing that the City of Tucson jurisdiction can do. The other thing that the City of Tucson jurisdiction can and will do in the realm of education is we're going to make our schools safe for all of our families. And that involves the Sanctuary City passing Prop 205. Children are afraid. They're afraid of collaboration, and that will change. The third example, there's a number of other things that can be done. I just wanted to share from a philosophical perspective that the Green Party is the only political party that supports free college education for all. Thank you.
Rahina?
The mayor has the bully pulpit, and And as a mom of two that has two children, Emiliano and Luciana, that attend TUSD schools and a product of public education, I'm a fierce advocate for public education funding, and will do so, will grab hands with a business community, an educational community, whoever wants to join us, and lobby hard in the state legislature to make sure that we get the appropriate level of funding from the state. I will also make sure that I will put together an educational team and task force that includes the University of Arizona, Pima College, JTED, apprenticeship programs, and our school districts, so that we can work together for the betterment of our educational system in the city of Tucson and Pima County. I believe in universal pre-K and will advocate and help the Pima County effort to pass that. I also believe, even though I'm a Democrat, in free community college for our students. And I want to make sure that as your next mayor, I continue the steps for success that Mayor Rothschild started, that we work together to make sure that we invest in future workforce training for our community, and not just our youth, but everyone that wants to retrain.
Thank you. And now Ed.
I think I'm the only mayoral candidate that is a professor at the University of Arizona, so I am a doctor of education, and I do have a real soft spot in my heart for education. My wife is also a first grade teacher, so education is important in our family. However, the mayor and the council don't directly affect educational policy, as we are not part of, that's not part of the charter. But one of the things we can do is an economic development thing. The question was asked, what will we do for the workforce pipeline? That was the question. What will we do for the workforce pipeline? I want to bring externships to the University of Arizona. One of the biggest concerns we have is people taking 4 years at the U of A and then graduating and immediately leaving Tucson and going somewhere else. And we need to reach out better to those students and give them a reason to stay in Tucson. The externship program, as designed, would be to take freshmen and sophomore in their first 2 years of college and bring them into the workforce, give them a job and give them school credit so that they can experience some jobs in some places in Tucson that they wouldn't normally consider, so that when they finish their education, they have an option to stay in Tucson because they have a job that they have been working at, and they have people that they know and a safety net. So the externship program with the University of Arizona, Pima College, and JTED would be an excellent idea for making that workforce pipeline be more robust.
Thank you so much. Now we'll do the third question, and it'll go in the order of Rahina beginning, Ed, and then ending with Mike. And the question is, historically Tucson has had a beneficial relationship with our neighbor to the south. Do you see that continuing? Why or why not?
To the south, you mean Nogales?
And Mexico.
I'm just kidding. I just wanted to make sure that I
knew
knew
what
what you were talking about.
Yeah.
We are the borderlands, and so the city of Tucson has a robust and wonderful history with Sonora, and so families have for generations lived side by side, many times going back and forth, and so Sonora and Mexico are our #1 trading partner, and not just for Arizona, but for the city of Tucson. Mexican visitors and investors leave $1 billion a year in the city of Tucson. As a native Sonoran desert dweller whose family runs for 7 generations in this desert, I am fully prepared to continue developing the relationship, not just with Sonora, but with Mexico. And there is no reason I will work as the next mayor to make Tucson the hub for Mexican companies and investors. We are geographically blessed to be connected to Mexico by freeway. by train. And we have an interstate system, I-19, I-10 to the east, I-10 to the west, that connects us to the East Coast and connects us to the West Coast. And so bringing manufacturing Mexican companies and creating the hub of Mexican companies here. I'm fully bilingual and bicultural, and that will be very beneficial to our city.
Thank you. Ed?
Mexico remains an important partner with us in the economic development of our community. $1 billion is a lot of input into the economic trade that we have with our neighbors to the south. I think we need to also work with the other organizations that have a direct pipeline to Mexico, including the Mexico-American Commission, the Mexico-Arizona Commission, the Governor's Office, which has some plans, has some programs that are involved with Mexico. Visit Tucson, which does a good job of reaching into northern Mexico. And they are good partners of ours in helping us bring more people into Tucson for medical reasons, the universities, and for school. There's quite a few students who come up from Mexico to attend the University of Arizona. They stay in apartments, they shop in stores. Many folks come up from Mexico to go to the doctor and have our medical care in Tucson. And we need to continue working on that partnership. When my family was the management contractor for Elcon Mall, the place to be for you and your family, over 40%, upwards of 50% of the clientele was from Mexico. We need to engage in that robust economic development as we move forward.
Thank you. And Mike?
Thank you. The Green New Deal for Tucson is a massive program to revitalize the economy of our community. That will directly impact our relationship with our nearest neighbor to the south, Mexico. This will be an enormous economic opportunity, and we will work together in partnership as part of this program. We're going to undertake retrofitting hundreds of thousands of homes and small businesses with solar, energy conservation, and water harvesting. This will be a community first, and we will work together with our nearest neighbor. We are in the borderlands, as Rohino referenced, and we will work together with our nearest neighbor in partnership. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we will begin with questions from the floor. We've received so many. I hope you'll understand that we certainly are not going to get to all of them, but the candidates will be staying after if you want to ask them, and I'm sure they'll be at other events too. So we will begin with the first question, and the order will be Ed, Mike, and then Rahina. And the question is, do you support the kids who marched for taking on climate change? If so, what will you do about the problem as mayor of Tucson?
Certainly support the right to free speech and the right to make it known what young people think about how we are being stewards of our environment and the focus that they have brought to the issue. And this is really important for us to discuss. Again, the city of Tucson, mayor and council, does have a bully pulpit, but the issues of climate change and global warming and the environment can only be addressed through the measures that the council can take in regards to the city council itself operating buildings and transportation and the things that we can mandate to the city properties that we have. We can't mandate anything to people who are business owners or people who live in Tucson. We can encourage, and I'm a big proponent of education, much like we did with Beat the Peak back in the 70s and 80s, which was a very successful program in reducing water consumption. We can do the same thing with environmental concerns, and a bully pulpit certainly from the mayor and council, but it's not an issue that is directly related to the purview of the mandate that is given to us to the city council through the charter.
Thank you. Mike?
Absolutely. Young people get it. Even though what are known as the powers that be, the ruling class, they tend to either ignore this or deny it. Most of you read this in the papers. It made international news. Greta Thunberg sailed into New York last month. And she's leading a worldwide movement. And she was interviewed on Amy Goodman's Democracy Now! Program. And I'm quoting her. She said, "We are striking to disrupt the system." And young people, they get it. And my administration, this will be the top priority, is a massive program to actually address climate change. So we are here to fight climate change with system change. Thank you.
Thank you. And Rahina?
Yes, I do support the climate strike. As a matter of fact, I was there last Friday was my birthday, and I was a speaker supporting the youth. The youth, more than anyone, are the ones that are feeling the effects and will have to deal with the devastation of climate change. I do support creating a bold climate action plan in the city of Tucson. We do have the possibility and within our means to be able to change this. For me, the climate action plan should have electrifying our transit system and vehicle fleet to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 50% for 2030 and 100% by 2050. I believe in planting 1 million trees by 2030 and having that become a public-private partnership, because this devastation of climate is not just a responsibility of government, but everyone, including businesses and corporations. Install massive solar installations and take advantage. We've actually already started creating green infrastructure funds so that we can plant trees and also use water harvesting measures throughout the city of Tucson, because those trees will help alleviate the effects of the heat island effect. And so we do have the possibility of making change in this, and we should.
Thank you. Now we'll go on to the second question from the floor. And my guess is this is not the first time some of you have heard it, and it probably won't be the last time you're going to hear it. And we'll go in the order of Mike, Rahina, and then Ed. The question is simple: how will you fix our roads? Mike, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready. Let's make
Okay.
a notes. Sorry to be slow. So, transportation issues have been a well-known issue in municipal politics for decades. We need to change the paradigm here also from an auto-centric paradigm. Part of this is driven by what's known as, it's a boring bureaucratic term, highway user revenue funds, HERF, commonly known as. There's a lot involved with that. There are constraints with the state legislature. I and my administration will lobby strongly to change the fundamentals of how these funds are appropriated so that we can, transportation is one of the most important sectors where we're going to fight climate change. So we will look at a massive program which will involve road maintenance as well, but we will transition to a non-fossil fuel-based economy. Thank you.
Thank you. Rahina?
Yes, thank you. It is incredible that the questions that we have been asked tonight are the same ones that I've heard at the door. These are the top 3 things I hear at the door when I'm knocking, and I've knocked on thousands of voters' doors and asked them what they care about as Tucson voters. And it is public education funding, climate and climate action, sustainability and water resources, and roads. And so I've had a lot of time to think about putting together a long-term strategy to invest in our roads. But I see my vision for our roads is not just from curb to curb. My vision, and many people in Tucson, is to look at our complete streets. So it's not just curb to curb, and yes, we have to have smooth and good roads because good infrastructure leverages private investment. But my vision is to create roads and streets for as multimodal roads. We must make sure that our roads serve our transit system, our pedestrians and cyclists, that we make it safe for multi-modes to be able to use our roads, plant trees so that pedestrians can be encouraged to use them. And so we have to fund complete streets, not just roads. Think about it differently and change the paradigm.
Thank you. And Ed?
Roads is the #1 issue that has come up in my discussions with voters. Please fix our roads. And much of the discussion centers around what has happened over the last 12 years or so, 20 years. How come the roads are in such disrepair? Why haven't the roads been fixed? Where has the money gone, and why aren't the roads repaired? I was up at the Sun Corridor breakfast a couple of weeks ago, and Joe Snell talked about the 4 pillars of what companies look for when they come to Tucson and want to maybe perhaps have a business relocate here. Roads was the issue. One of the 4 issues was roads. We have to fix these roads. He even made a call out to the audience, to the people that were in the room, and said, we have to come together and fix these roads. We have to work on this project. So the question is, what is the priority? We haven't prioritized roads in the last several years. Yes, money has been spent on roads, but we need to make it a budget priority. We don't need to pass a bond for it because we need to take care of the roads out of the general fund, which is what we're supposed to be doing as mandated by the charter. And so we need to focus and prioritize the roads. Every single time that we get together as a council, we need to be focusing on whether or not the roads are the main issue that we need to talk about. We also need to be very transparent about where the money is going to fix the roads. And I think that has been a major issue that people have talked to me about, is where has the money gone and how come we can't get these roads fixed?
Thank you. That was a tough question. The next one resonates with me and is a tough question too, partly because one of my favorite cities has always been San Francisco. And when we visited in November of last year, we were really heartbroken. And the question is, and the order will be Rahina, Ed, and then Mike, is how are you going to address the increase in homelessness and substance abuse? Tough one, Rahina.
It is a tough one. I have been very, very transparent about my not being happy on the work that our Housing Community Development Department has not done for this particular issue. As the next mayor, I will request that the Housing Community Development Department create a homelessness coordinator or homelessness czar that will report not just to the city manager but to mayor and council. Will work with nonprofit organizations that provide services for homeless communities and behavioral health, and internally, because TPD and fire and different internal departments have to do with this. We just received $4.5 million to help homeless youth in the city of Tucson. Build on that, make sure that the Housing Community Development Department cares about this issue. I believe in a housing first model, which is a low barrier housing for people to house them first and then wrap around the services that they need. to help them in the most vulnerable time in their lives. So investment from our housing, from our federal funds, community development block grants, applying for grants like the one we just received, and making it a priority in the city.
Thank you. Ed?
I was at a forum in this very room some months ago, and homelessness was one of the issues that we talked about. And there were some really creative solutions for what we might be able to do as a community to help homelessness, including everything for providing places for them. One of the things that I think is a shining example of what we can do as a community that does not rest solely on the mayor and council, but on the community as a whole, and that's the Center for Opportunity at 4550 South Palo Verde. That center is an awesome shining example of what happens when the community comes together in government, in different governments, but Pima County government, city government, and non-government organizations, nonprofits, coming together to help solve a problem that has been plaguing Tucson for some time. It is an example for us to take other buildings that we have in our community and transpose them into something meaningful for people who don't have a temporary home, and to work in our housing department to make sure that we can supply the affordable homes that these folks need. One major key issue in this issue of homelessness also rests with police. As the number of police that we have is so low that we cannot address all the critical issues related with homelessness. And this is something that we have to address as a community. 763 commissioned police officers is not enough to help us work with the level of calls that we get, plus also have to deal, including the fire department, to deal with the homelessness issue. We've got it misplaced, and we have to do something about it.
Thank you so much. I am so sorry it's the top of the hour and we can't ask more questions. I'm sure you all agree with me. Oh, Mike.
It's all right.
Okay, it's not against you, Mike.
That's all right.
Mike, do you ever
It's not
forgive
against
me?
you.
And then here you guys to have the very last word. Please.
It's an example.
I'm
It's
glad
okay.
you're watching, paying attention.
Don't be hard on yourself, that's great. Thank you for the question. Homelessness is obviously a very serious issue. It affects our community. That's the community mentioned in the question. I'm not a social services professional or expert. However, I believe that we need to and we will prioritize providing for basic needs for all of Tucson families. I think there's been a lot of good work done in this area, and we need to look at this comprehensively. The Green Party is the only political party that supports what's known as universal basic income. Now, that is a federal issue. That's not something that could be fully implemented at the municipal level. However, that being said, this will be a priority of the mayor's office. I'm going to direct my staff in the incoming office to look at this comprehensively, what we can do at the municipal level, and do everything we can to bring about what I believe to be meeting basic needs for the people and the families in our community. Thank you.
So sorry we can't ask him more questions. Aren't you impressed with the answers? I could listen a lot longer. Let's give them a round of applause. Now I'm going to give each of them a whole big minute to catch anything they really want to say that we didn't ask them. And we'll begin with Ed, go to Mike, and then with Rahina. Sorry, it's only a minute.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's an honor to run for mayor of my city. I'm proud to be able to throw my hat in the ring. You know, they say that history is going to be made this election. There's a lot been made about history going to be made in this election. And it will be when I become elected the first independent mayor in the city of Tucson. You know, I have two grandsons, Nolan and Patrick. They're 5 and 7. And the question is, what is their city going to be like when they're 57 and 55? And it's my goal as mayor of the city of Tucson to make sure that we get the infrastructure right, that we get the priorities right, and we get the fundamentals right, so that they have a wonderful place to live and grow up, to raise a family and to grow a business. The Tucson that I experienced is the experience that I think all of our children deserve. And I'm going to do everything in my power to give those children the best Tucson they can have. Thank you, and I ask for your vote, and I hope that you jump in. Thank you.
Mike, I haven't forgotten you.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for hosting this forum for the community. Give all of the candidates here an opportunity to share their vision. I believe that the first priority of the mayor's office is to protect the safety of all Tucson families. And that's why it's really important to me, and I will prioritize this, that we will, and we're on the verge of becoming a sanctuary city. Sanctuary is a human right, and I'm here to defend sanctuary and to defeat hate. I'm also going to bring my administration, my campaign, is going to bring a Green New Deal to Tucson. And I'd like to close by saying thank you again. I'm asking for your support and asking for your vote. Thank you again.
And Regina.
Thank you to the League of Women Voters for giving us the opportunity to have this short conversation with the voters of Tucson. You know, I'm very proud to be a Tucsonan. When I first arrived in Tucson 27 years ago as a first-generation college-bound Chicana, first in my family to vote, first in my family to graduate from college, I would have never thought that I would be here in front of you today asking for your vote to be the next mayor of Tucson. But Tucson gave me and my family economic opportunity and educational opportunity unlike we would have received in Somerton, Arizona, where I grew up. And that's why I'm so passionate about creating economic opportunity for all families, for every single Tucsonan here. I have the vision and the experience to keep moving our city to the next level of progress and prosperity, and I humbly ask for your vote.
Thank you, Regina, Ed, and Mike, for letting us get to know you in this time, and thank you, audience, for your questions and your attention. I don't envy you having to pick between these three candidates. And my special thanks to the YMCA as a co-sponsor in letting us have this good forum, and to the Tucson Young Professionals. It's been wonderful working with you. And my special thanks to Barbara Becker and Sue Darman for all the assistance they gave in preparing this event, for Shirley Mooney and Kathy Arrows, our timekeepers, for keeping us on time. I did the best I could with my part. And for Rex Graham for his extraordinary technical experience and for streaming this event. Now remember, November 5th is Election Day, so vote. It is your right and your responsibility, and one of these three candidates really needs you. Let's give them another round of applause.